Hi, I'm Cynthia Clark, and the topic that I've chosen for this innovation and technology final paper is liquid biopsies. And if you're like me, you had never heard of liquid biopsies before. And um, so when I began researching different topics and hoping I could find something new and exciting and something that would hold my attention and hopefully be exciting to you as well, this is one of the things that came up. Unfortunately, it does go into a lot of genetic testing and things like that. I'll try to stay on the higher end of that, not to bore you with this summary. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what liquid biopsies are and how they are currently being used, and also introduce the hopes and possibilities for future use for this type of testing. So to begin, as many of you might know or have even experienced, a standard biopsy is invasive, and depending on the location of the organ or tissue being tested, it may even be painful. It may require hospitalization. It may require a recovery period and even being off work. So there are obvious risks involved for patients that undergo these biopsies, and especially for elderly patients or a patient that already has heart conditions or um, has problems being under anesthesia. So anytime that we can improve on a process, obviously this is an area that has an opening for improvement. And so that's what liquid biopsy has done. Um, the researchers have created a way to test a standard blood test or venipuncture, where the plasma in the blood is tested for circulating tumor DNA. And what that really is just a shedding or a sloughing off of pieces of the tumor that is floating around in our blood. And this test, using genetic testing and sequencing and things, will be able to identify that tumor as an oddity and what that tumor is. So that's pretty exciting. And there appear to be several different methods once you get to that piece of how best do you identify that tumor. And so just to let you know what they are and not to go into detail with them, right now it looks like there's two processes in the running. The one is using large-scale sequencing approach, and the other is using digital polymerase chain reaction. So if you're interested, you can look into that further and see what that's like. They both have their positives and their negatives to their approaches, but they're continuing to work through that. So it'll be interesting to see which one rises the leader in that industry. So the FDA has currently approved this circulating tumor DNA analysis, but it's only approved for very specific use. So first of all, it's only approved to be used for lung cancer patients who have already been diagnosed with lung cancer. And so it's only allowed to be used for initial genotyping of the tumor. And the third circumstance that it has to fall into is, for some reason or other, there has to be a problem with the tissue or not enough tissue to do the standard characterizing of the molecular structure or composition of the tumor. So that tells you that the cancer patient has been diagnosed. They've already probably done a biopsy or attempted to do a biopsy, and now possibly they may use this route instead. So there's a lot of growth there that needs to still happen. One other thing, though, that they have approved is like the second step, where they're now allowing two tests to be used to identify whether the tumor has mutated. So many of you may know that one of the drawbacks for lung cancer treatments, or any cancer treatments actually, is that they might be making progress and all of a sudden they're not making progress anymore, and it's likely that the tumor has mutated and protected itself against whatever chemotherapy or treatment is being used. So this new test would be able to identify, okay, early on, without having to wait, or maybe even wasting treatment, since it's just a blood test, it's not invasive. Maybe they could run the test and say, okay, we're still good, there's no mutation there. So that takes me to the future of this test. So ideally, these are all based on just being able to use them for already diagnosed patients. But wouldn't it be nice if we could use this to screen patients? When you go in for your yearly checkup, this is just something that gets thrown in with the blood work, with everything else, and it would actually be able to screen and tell you whether you are cancer-free or whether there is indication of cancer. The other thing, real quickly, is that along this trend of identifying mutation, they're hoping that in the future they'll be able to tell that this tumor will mutate into this, so you don't want to use that, but this is the ideal treatment to use. So right from the beginning, they'll know how to best treat you. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you found it as interesting as I did. Bye now.